How are you doing? My name is Bree, or BRIANNE AGNIZLE as I go by, and it's unfortunate that we couldn't be at the exact place, but this is just as great. And I'm really, really thankful for Alicia and all the others in the community who are making it possible by watching, by contributing, and by getting everybody together. We're making this writing not such a lonely thing, and that's really great, so thank you so much. Because I'm using my phone to record this, some of my things I'll have to be reading from my computer. So I'm going to start with a poem that kind of leads up to what most of the material I will be reading of is. Okay. Black turtleneck over metallic sparkly lingerie, strip club bathroom between stage sets, Marlboro going between my fingers. Yes, that's where we smoked, back when I used to smoke. Hand, mouth, repeat. Colloquial realness sheds itself for the sake of maintaining the immortal image of the strip club. This was the entire point. People wanted something that would take them out of their neighborhoods without leaving. Someplace where familiarity collides with escape. A new context of affiliations and conversations that unparalleled a dark living room with a televised news report playing on low volume. And in a cycle of permanent routines where a break in the weather pattern was the most enticing thing these people may have had, people wanted something that would take them past the breaking edge of mundanity. What they were missing in their lives was vice. They came in interested in being right on the fringe of public limitations, a compromise of sorts, where they could walk down on a tightrope between the law and lawlessness. The strip club is a wildly abstract phenomenon I don't think we realize. How it's managed to exist may always trivialize me, but I say anything but surprised. We don't question the nature of the strip club because we need the strip club. We need a safe place for immorality and bad character, mistakes, stupidity, deviancy, guilt, and secrecy and promise. The strip club is a safe place. The strip club is the safest place because it is founded on the raw and real practice of the human condition. Be a customer and spend yourself stupid $100 on a stripper, and flat out, you've made yourself a stupid mistake if you are a stripper. That's the outsider's impression. And what these outsiders fail to decipher is that by no chance we are all erring through our existences. People come to the strip club to play out stupidity, customers and strippers alike. Together, we create an environmental facade for the sake of pretending to be anywhere else but inside of our own realities. The better you were at pretending, the more cash you came home with. The better you were at rejecting colloquial realness, the more cash you came home with. What I didn't expect to find inside the club was the most fatal components of the human condition working together in simplistic harmony: money, power, and sex. There are no lies in the strip club, only eternal truths. This is what happens when you're granted control over your own anonymity so conveniently down the block for a $5 entry fee. Strangers, strangers, strangers. That's all we want to be to everyone, at least sometimes. I didn't expect to find their new methods of refusing a belonging to anywhere, even to myself. I renounced my biology. I renounced the streets that made me up to that point. I renounced the definition of complicated. I became complicated. I became chaotic. I changed my name and parted my hair down the middle, and I then understood that all of what was colloquial was a mirage, and that realness has but one motive: to cover up that everything you know is cloaked in the desire for money, power, and sex. When I became a stripper, I became the emblem of that, but also everything that rejects its structure. This is what it means to be a bitch. When I became a bitch, I became immortal. Thank you. It's different when you're reading from here because you expect people to clap if people came to the reading, I guess. So thank you. It's just, you kind kind of do. And then I have another essay that I wrote, and this one was published by the South 85 Journal. They're an online literary magazine that does like biannual publishings online. So it's called "I'm Sorry I Said Your Other Name." Shh. I once called a girl by her real name in the changing room at work, to her face. I was so embarrassed. I've actually probably done it more than once in my time as a stripper, but this was a time that I particularly remember. Not for any other reason than I especially felt ashamed for my mistake. Maybe it was because I looked up to her a lot. She was so kind and graceful, and it just made me feel all the more clumsy. And we were just starting to hang out outside of work too, where even there, I'd call her by her stripper name Melanie, and she'd call me Rosemary. It's unmindful to make out even a casual whisper of a girl's street name anywhere in the strip club, even if you know her outside of work. Usually, it'd take time and trust to earn the right to know a girl's real name, and there are different levels of comfort that she'd feel about when it's said and where. Some may feel indifferent, but other girls might make their eyes go big and dead to clue you in, not here, not now. And most of these girls, you'll never even learn their real names. You'll see them in the changing room cowering down naked in the middle of a decision, holding up a pink pair of panties with one hand and a white pair in the other. Rosemary, which do you think would look better? You'll get to know the angle and the curve of her bending spine and what posture she chooses when she wants to cover herself down there. Does she push her thighs together to conceal what's between them? Or is she the type that leans her body down over the floor, head turned into herself and hair falling around like a yellow field in the wind like she's her own curtain? How does she perform privacy? Does she turn away completely and face the corner? Or is she one of those types who does not care? The world can close its eyes if it really must. It depended on the day. It depended on how long ago you shaved. It depended on if you were on the rag, who else was in the room, and sometimes for no particular reason at all. Today, I just don't want anyone to see. So, I'd open my locker and change behind it. Although every club and every changing room does have a uniquely different dynamic and mood. Some are small and cramped, and probably a fire hazard. Others are spacious with lounging couches and associated coffee tables. The later were luxury. And if the girls didn't get along well, you felt the tension in the room boiling over like hell, especially if it was tiny. If it was a comfortable, kind environment, it was probably all right to ask if anyone had a pair of scissors, which translates to, does anyone have something I can use to cut off this tampon string? The clubs I worked at were topless, so breasts didn't matter as much, but rarely I saw other girls without bottoms on in the changing room. That was too naked. I worked at a fully nude club one night in Portland when I was traveling at actually AWP last year. Need money for the book fair. And also once for a night in Berlin too. Oh, that was crazy. So anyways, I didn't know that I had that kind of passion. Having your kitty out when you're out on the stage dancing is a different kind of naked. It's part of an act. It's an accessory to your costume. And in the changing room, it becomes yours and only yours again, no longer for anyone else. Unless you're having shameless drunk sex with another girl in there, which on my witness account happens, apparently. What a chaotically beautiful world we live in, right? Just look at the ways that we've evolved to cope with our existential struggles. To each their own, I suppose. You'll get to know the way a girl hides, or how she fucks other girls if you choose to watch. I made the conscious decision to watch. Before you know the name that she has written on her cappuccino cups at the mall. And you'll think later about how bad it would be if you ever ran into her in public, perhaps at a family restaurant with your parents, and how she might brush past your table and say like, "Hey, Rosemary," so carelessly. And you'll have to explain that it's just a weird nickname with a long, complicated history. And then maybe you decide she's cool, and she decides you're cool, and you start hanging out outside of work. Out in the wild, outside the club, where your name is different, but it also really isn't. Bree is just Rosemary with less makeup and more clothes to her. As time goes on, you may start to get to know each other better. You'll start seeing each other's bedrooms and share secrets, and then you might begin to meet each other's not stripper friends, her regular friends who work as cooks and servers in local breweries. You may meet her boyfriends, and she'll meet your sisters, cousins, enemies. You may go to concerts together and get tequila drunk and get breakfast mimosas in the hungover morning. You'll hang out so much that eventually her two names will blur out together. Then, one day, you just might slip up at work. It was a forgivable offense, but it was always startling. The best way to put it is that it just feels unnatural to hear your real name come out from any clean, dirty, sparkly, faded corner in the club. Maybe it's all right when there's no one else around to hear. Maybe, just maybe then. But even then, it's still not right, and it still feels like you've just swallowed the air instead of speaking into it. We were in the changing room and I apologized to her. Melanie, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. And then I trailed off to leave room for her to interrupt me without interrupting me. And she laughed because she was one of the good ones. Not a loud laugh with an open mouth, but the sound you make after someone tells a sad joke and you want to let them know they're not sad themselves. More like a blunted buzz in the back of your throat. A laugh out of pity for you, the poor one who made the embarrassing amateur mistake, now relieved. It's all right. She was one of the good ones. At least we weren't on the floor in front of a customer, she said. Her number was saved in my phone under her stripper name. Melanie, I should have known better. It's okay, Rosemary. It's been a long night. Get home safe. Thanks. You too. On the drive back home from the club, there's a dark highway in the rearview mirror, then headlights, and in their light, I'm seeing my eyes see me in the rearview mirror, as if I was something that both drives the car and follows behind it. 2:10 a.m. In the dirt parking lot behind my house, I sit alone in my car, preparing for the transition from driving to walking to washing my face off in front of a mirror hung on a wall above a sink that I stand in front of, watching someone clean the day off of the surface of my skin. 2:39 a.m. Thank you, and that concludes the essays. So, for those of you who are all affected by the virus and what it's doing in our jobs, the bars and restaurants have also closed. And what makes it interesting is that I still do dance. And we are dependent on these bars and clubs being open for us to be able to work and have employment. But however, we are not employees of the club, we're private contractors. So a lot of us are just completely screwed right now. I am making money selling erotica, actually, so it's $10 for 500 words. Feel free to commission, and if not for you, for your honey. It's actually a lot of fun to write, and I love sending it to people and seeing that they like it too. It's a lot of fun, so if you want some kind of deal, just let me know. And I have one last one, it's just, actually no. This is the last stripper one. I'm having a great time. I died a virgin. When I got to heaven, I was awarded a Medal of Honor for staying pure and tending to my innocence. I joined a virgin fraternity full of other men just like me who'd never gotten laid once in their entire lives. And just like them, I took up an oath to preserving my boy flower forevermore. I was hazed harshly following my commencement. They shoved pornography into my face and later tricked me into going out to a strip joint. They kept paying this girl Mary to do ridiculous lewd activities in my direction, and in my disguise, I was having a horrible time. Later that night, all I could think about was banging that girl Mary. I hated her for the lust she made me feel. The impure thoughts made me sick. It's a shame. There isn't anything safe about living in heaven. I ran out the front door of the frat house, jumped off the edge of the cloud, and fucked the sky raw until I hit the ground and died a virgin again. I also love writing bizarre fiction. I really appreciate that I was included, and I hope everybody is staying safe and healthy. So I would love to email back and forth with anyone. If anyone has any writing to share, I'd love to talk. We're all in this together, and thank you all for making writing not such a lonely thing.